what we're going to do then is we're going to look at the fundamentals of putting products into our product catalog, and we're going to do this manually in this instance. And what this video is going to cover is what's called simple products, which are often the building blocks for more complex product types, such as configurable products, bundles, and grouped products. But what we go through in this section here is really the fundamentals of putting a product together. So the information in here is actually very good groundwork for before you then go out and start doing more complex products. So if you are looking at doing more complex products, maybe come back, review this video, just make sure you've got all the fundamentals covered. So the first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to go to the catalog menu and I'm going to go to manage products. Right, so this is our product grid with all of the products that we currently have in our store. Over the right hand side you can see that there's an add product option, so I'm going to select that. So this loads up our new product page, and initially we're asked two questions. First one is what attribute set, second one is the product type. Now if you come across here to the drop down for the attribute set and you click on it and the only option you have in there is for the default attribute set, then I'd suggest you go back and review the work we did on attributes and attribute sets, and review those videos and the importance of actually having different attribute sets. It's not uncommon to see a Magento store, or for myself to go into the back end of a Magento store and see that all of the products have been assigned to a default attribute set. But there is problems with that, and like I say, I review those in the videos about attributes and attribute sets. But please don't go forward at this point if that's the only attribute set you've got. You probably need to go back and create yourself some different attribute sets. Okay, so let's assume that you have. And so from here you need to pick the attribute set that you want to use. Now I'm going to create a luggage item, so I want questions that are related to luggage. So I'm going to choose the luggage attribute set that I've already defined. So I select that. Then I look at the product type, and we've got our 6 different product types there. I'm going to select simple product and hit continue. So by doing that, Magento now knows that it's dealing with an item of luggage, so it will present me the questions that are related to luggage, and also it's a simple product, so it will present me the questions that are related to simple product as well. And so we get this screen here, which is our new product creation screen. Right. The first thing it asks us is, what is the name of the product? So this is quite important. If I go onto the front end of our site, and I'll just pick a product that we already have, just to explain what we're going to do here. Over here we have the name of the product. In this case it's a luxury leather flight bag. Now that name is used as the default for several SEO elements of the page. So if anyone out there is doing SEO, as in search engine optimization, if you're focusing on that, then this might be of interest to you. So by default, the title tag is put into a H1 tag, okay, which is an important element for search engine optimization. It is also used as the title tag. So if you look up here, in the browser bar, we've got the title of the page. So the title tag also matches the name of the product. Also here we have the URL of the product. And again, it's the name of the product, but with hyphens in there. So that's all gleaned from that, the name of the product. Okay. And also if I hover over our product image, you can see that it comes up with the alternative text for it, which is luxury leather flight bag. So the name of our product is quite important. It's going to be the thing that resonates most with the customer, and because it is being used for so many search engine optimization elements, it's the thing that Google will be weighting your page on in more likelihood. Okay, so I say that it assigns all of these as well. They are all overridable. You can override all the defaults, but if you were to leave all of those elements blank, that's what will happen. Okay, so let's go back. So I'm just going to call our product luxury suitcase. Okay, so this is just a dummy product, so I'm not going to be too careful about the information that I'm putting in here. So I then have the description. So this is the long description of the product. The long description on this particular theme, which is the RWD theme that comes with later versions of Magento. The description is placed here in a tab underneath the product information. Okay, so that information is placed here. Okay, there's also a short description as well, and you'll see that the short description is placed here within the product details section. Okay, so here goes my long description. So okay, I'd probably elaborate that more than that. Okay, and there's our short description. You'll notice there's this button here, which is WYSIWYG Editor. So WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get. And the idea here is that you can format this text within the description. So if I was to open up the WYSIWYG Editor, it pops open a new screen, and you can see here that we have some control over what the text looks like. So I could go in and maybe make that part bold. If you want to know more about the WYSIWYG Editor, there is a short course on the content management system, and the WYSIWYG Editor is explained in more detail in that course. But the basics are very similar to a standard word processing package. If I submit that, one thing to note is then when you look at the description in here, you'll notice that there's these codes that have been embedded into the page. This is HTML, hypertext markup language. This is how your web browser interprets how the text should appear. So if you're comfortable with HTML, and a lot of people are quite comfortable with HTML, you could put your HTML straight into that description. Or you can use the WYSIWYG Editor, and the WYSIWYG Editor will generate the HTML for you. Okay, if you just leave it like this, it just comes out as plain text, which is unformatted, but in a lot of cases that will be fine. Right, we then come further down. We have Skew, so stock unit. Okay, and every product in our store has to have a stock unit number. It's the unique identifier that Magento sees for the product. No two products can have the same SKU. Okay, so if I was to put a SKU in here and try to save this and that SKU already existed, it wouldn't allow me to. It wouldn't allow me to do that. It uses the, if you remember in the attributes video, it uses allow unique values. If I set an attribute and only allow unique values on it, then it will stop two products having the same value for that particular attribute. So we put a SKU in, so I'm just going to call it suitcase 1 as the SKU, but I would probably tie that in with whatever my stock management system codes are, so that there is a tie in there. Then we have weight. Okay, you'll notice as well, if I look at these products, if I was to hit save and continue, you'll notice that there are certain products that have got asterisks next to them, and also when I hit save and continue, if I haven't filled in a field that does have an asterisk next to it, it comes up with this is a required field. And you can see as well over on the left hand side we've got the tabs, and you can see that some of those tabs have come up red, and it's highlighting fields that have to be filled in. Right, I can't save this product until I've filled in that basic information. So one thing I often advise is that when you're setting up a product for the first time, is go and fill in the basic information so you can save it and commit it to the database, and then come back and fill in the more detailed information. But you'll notice that weight is a required field, so we have to put something in there in weight. And it might be that you're not overly concerned about what the weight of products are, and in which case you could probably quite happily put 0 in there. Okay, the reason why weight exists in there is because within Magento there are certain shipping methods that you can use, and one of those shipping methods is ship by weight. So if we put a weight in against the product, then and that's a physical weight, so how much it actually really does weigh when it gets put onto the truck, when we're putting our orders together, there'll be an accumulative weight for that order, and we can set shipping costs depending on what those weights are. Okay, so what it doesn't do though is it doesn't specify what the unit of measurement is there. And to be honest, the unit of measurement is basically whatever you want it to be. So if you want it to be in kilos, then maybe I'd put in 1.25 kilos as the weight. But it might be that you want to measure that in pounds or ounces or grams. Whatever the unit of measurement you're using, choose it and then be consistent across your site and know that that's the unit of measurements you're using. Okay, so that's why there's no specific measurement there. So if I put it in kilos, and let's say this suitcase weighs 2.5 kilos. Right, we then have a status, okay? And the status is either enabled or disabled. Fairly obvious status, hopefully, but what it's saying is this product live on the site or is it not? And this is kind of like the overriding status. There are several ways that you can put a product onto the website and not necessarily have it visible, but it is still active. But actually this status here means that the product is just not active at all. It won't be visible on the site. There won't be any sneaky backdoor way that you can get to it, and no calculations will be done on this particular product. Okay, so if you have it disabled, which is quite a safe status when you're creating a product, so you don't want to accidentally want it to go live, then there's no way that a customer should be able to see that on the front end of the site. I'm actually going to set it as enabled because again we're just using a dummy site, so I'm quite happy if this accidentally appears on the front end. But you may in the real world in a production environment want to have that as disabled until you're happy that you've completed the product. Right, I'm going to come back to some of these additional options down here, which are supplementary options. We want to just focus on the main options to get a product up and running and live. So I'm going to come down to the next tab. If you remember when we did attributes and attribute sets, we created a tab in the luggage attribute set, which was a group, which was just to contain the attributes that are specific to the luggage. So that's why that one's there. So I'm going to skip over that one for the moment, and we're going to go to prices. Right, so we have to assign a price for the product, and the price in this case, and this is the default, is a price including tax. So in Europe, we're obliged to actually display, if we're doing B2C sites, we're obliged to display the price including the tax, so how much the customer is actually going to pay for it. Obviously in the USA, that's different. The price is excluding tax. So this might be configured slightly different. We're working on the European model on here. So we have the price in pounds, GBP, so that's telling us what the currency base currency is for this particular store, and whether it's including tax or not. So if our suitcase is going to cost the customer £100, including tax, we need to put £100 in there. Right. Again, we're going to visit these attributes at a later point. What I'm interested in now is the tax class. If I click on this drop down here, you can see there's 3 tax classes there: none, taxable goods, and shipping. Only really interested in these 2 at this moment. So none means that there is no tax to pay on this product. So basically the customer pays £100, comes through, we keep £100, we don't have to pay the tax man anything. Right, if I choose taxable goods though, which is most common, that's when the VAT rate will get applied. And again, there'll be a separate course on tax and how to set up your tax rules, which you can look out for. But I'm just going to select taxable goods here. Right, now what you can see when I select taxable goods is now it knows what the tax rate is that this product's being charged at, and you can now see that it tells us that the price here is including the tax, and it tells us what the tax for that product is going to be. So when a customer buys this product, we take £100 off them, but really we need to give £16.66 to whoever takes our tax. Okay, so that's the basic setup, and now I've done that, I can hit save and continue. That's a good idea as well to kind of be trigger happy on the save and continue. I quite often when I make any changes at all. I'll just hit save and continue. The reason being is because we're running on a browser, the session will expire at some point, depending on how long it will take to expire will depend on how your server and your Magento store are configured. But it could well be that you spend a long time on a product, you go to hit save and continue, and if your session has expired, you will lose everything you've changed and you'll go back to the login screen. So it is a good idea just to every now and again just hit that button, save and continue. So because I filled in all the essential fields and the required fields, I was able to save it. So now that product is in my database. It's not, however, visible on the front end of the site yet, because there's still a few more things that we need to do to get this product visible. Okay, the first thing is to go down and have a look at this tab here, which is inventory. And this is to do with all our stock control side. And what you can see here is a list of our inventory options and this tick box here, which says use config settings, and a tick box. Now what it's saying there is, for the majority of these fields, it is using what we've set as the default config settings for inventory. Okay, so all products will follow what we've set up, and that's under the system configuration menu, and I'll show it to you later. But we've set up what our default stock configuration is. But that's just a default. We can override that for each individual stock item. So you can see the top option here is manage stock. I can override that and say, actually, no, I don't want to manage stock for this particular item. And that means that there's no stock level contained for it. So it's kind of, if you like, it's an unlimited stock. However, I do. So I'm going to click that I want to use the configuration settings again. The configuration settings say, yes, it is stock controlled. I can put an opening stock of how many of these I've got in at the moment. So let's say I've got 20. Okay, and again, I'm going to come back and show you more on this, the stock control side of it. Right. The other one we need to check to make sure this goes live is this one here, which is stock availability. It's currently marked as out of stock. And all products go into, when you're creating them, are marked as out of stock until you tell them that it's in stock. Okay, it's kind of like a safety net really, to make sure that you don't start selling products before you should do, but you do need to make sure that you then go in and override that. So stock availability, even though we're saying we've got 20 up there, it doesn't by default mark it as back in stock, so we need now to mark that as in stock. The one last thing we need to do to make this visible on the front end is assign it to a category. So I select categories, and what we can see here is a list of available categories. The ones that are in black are active, the ones in grey are inactive. Okay, so the inactive ones, you can't find them via a URL, and we will cover that in the category section. So I want to put this in a category. It's a luggage item, so it kind of makes sense that it goes into the luggage category. So I select that, and now I can save the product. Right, if I go back to the front end of the site, go to luggage, you can now see we've got the luxury suitcase. Select that, and there we have our details and the ability to add that to cart. Now, still more to do on this. There's a lot more to do on this. There's a lot more that we've got to cover on simple products, but for this video, we'll leave it there.